Today we're working on extended hand to big toe pose. We call this Utthita Hasta Padangunstasana, and we're going to do two variations. Variation 1, Supta, laying on our backs on the grounds, and variation 2, using a wall. So for today you're going to need a belt or a strap and a little bit of wall space. And we'll begin down on our backs. So we're going to start picking up the right knee, hug the knee up toward the chest, and tuck the knee in slightly toward the right armpit, but try and keep both hips grounded down onto the earth. Try and keep both shoulders grounded down onto the earth. Then we're going to take our strap onto the mound of the right foot, and you can wrap your hands one on each side of the strap, wrap it around just once or twice, so that you don't have to put so much effort into holding the strap. Roll your shoulders back into the ground. Extend your right leg up toward the sky. And for the variation today, we're going to open our leg over toward the right. So if you're extending your leg before we move and it feels like too much, you can take a soft bend in the right knee. That's perfectly okay. If you're able to extend all the way, that's fine too. But now we're going to take both sides of the strap into our right hand. We're going to bring our left hand down onto our left hip, just helping to keep the hip grounded. Take an inhale, extend the leg up toward the sky. As you exhale, begin to release the leg over toward the right. Good. Now the tendency here is going to be for our left hip to start to lift as we follow our right leg over, but we want to keep the hip grounded. So left hand is there to help remind the hip to stay put. Left toes stay pointed up toward the sky. Open into the right hip. So you can imagine an external rotation of the right thigh. If your leg was gonna touch the ground, your toes would touch first. But wherever you are, your leg might be all the way up here. If that's how open you are on the hips, that's fine. And we'll take a few breaths here. Let gravity do the work of opening the hip for us. So both shoulders stay grounded, both hips stay grounded. And if it's helpful, you can breathe up and down the right hip, the inner groin. Good. As you're ready, carefully we're going to draw the leg back up toward the sky. One side of the strap in each hand. Roll the shoulders back, stretch the legs straight up. And bend the knee. Release the strap, right leg sends out long. Good. Now to the second side. We'll start by hugging the left knee in, a little bit up toward the left armpit. Good. Then strap comes to the mound of the left foot, not the arch. One side of the strap in each hand. Again, you can wrap the hands around once or twice. As you start to extend the leg up toward the sky, roll the shoulder blades into the ground, plant both hips into the ground evenly. If you're really tight through the back of that leg, you can always take a soft bend in the knee. Good. Now both sides of the strap into your left hand. As you bring your right hand down onto your right hip, take an inhale. Exhale, start to open the leg over toward the left. Again, the tendency might be for your right hip to start to lift as you kind of roll over to follow the leg. Keep that right hip grounded. Slight external rotation of the left thigh. So if the leg was going to touch, the toes would touch first. And again, It doesn't matter if your leg's up here and that's how open you are, or if your leg touches all the way to the ground, that's great. The key is to not pull or force yourself into the posture, but rather let gravity do the work for you. So right hip stays grounded. Breathe into the hip, breathe into the left groin. Good. Now we'll draw the leg back up toward the sky, one side of the strap in each hand. Stretch the leg directly toward the ceiling. Plug the shoulder blades into your mat. Then we'll bend the knee, release the strap. Good. And we'll make our way to standing. So roll over onto one side, press yourself up. And bring your strap with you as you come to stand by the wall. So I want you to come to the wall. I want you to reach your left arm out so you're facing the long side of your mat. Left arm comes out, plants firmly on the wall. And that's going to be your starting distance. You might need to play with this distance a little bit depending on flexibility, but that's a good starting point. Left palm flat as you're standing straight. Good. So we're going to do essentially that same posture, but in a different orientation. And now we're adding sort of a balancing element and a leg strengthening element on the standing leg, but we're using the wall to help support us in the posture. So this time, before we move, we're going to take the strap to the bottom of the left foot, bringing it onto the mount. Good. We'll take both sides of the strap into our left hand as the right hand comes in onto the hip. And let's find the corners of our right foot. So I want you to lift the toes, find the corners, ground into the mound, and set the toes back down. So very important when we come into balancing postures that we're not gripping into the toes. They're just kind of there to help us tweak our balance slightly. We're really in the mounds and the corners of the feet. So once you've found that, we're going to lift our left leg up. You can walk your hands up the strap. We're going to open the hip, bring the foot up onto the wall. And you can heel toe left or right with your standing leg till you find your variation where your left foot is flat on the wall. Good. So nice and open with both hips toward the long side of your mat. You can walk your hands down your strap toward your left foot, but careful that you're not rotating the torso toward the left foot. Open through the chest, open through the hips, shoulder blades back. Take a few breaths here. Good. And then we'll slowly release. And we'll find that to the second side. And you can start by, we'll turn to face the other direction. Now start by bringing your right hand against the wall. That'll be your starting point. Ground now into your left foot as you bring the strap to the bottom of the right foot, taking both sides of the strap into your right hand. Left hand comes onto the hip. And we're going to pick the right leg up, heel toe out with the left foot until you find your place where your right foot is flat on the wall. Now, depending on your flexibility, your right foot might be down much lower, and that's okay. That's an acceptable variation of the posture. Might be up a little bit higher. And you can walk your hand down your strap toward your foot. But remember, Keep the hips and torso open to the long side of your mat. Take a few breaths. Good. And then we'll release. And that is our variations of Utthita Hasta Padangunstasana, hand to big toe pose.